At 39, Professor Chris Imumolen, the presidential candidate of the Accord Party, is the youngest presidential candidate in the 2023 general election in Nigeria scheduled for this month. Running on the Accord Party platform, Professor Imumolen is a candidate with no baggage or track record of failure. The 39-year-old candidacy offers a new paradigm in Nigerian election. With the campaign promising civil service reforms, increasing budgetary allocation to education, completing abandoned projects across the country, protecting Nigeria's borders, reforming health and social welfare, and mounting an institutional war against corruption, Professor Imumolen has centered some of the big issues. However, with no sitting governor in any of the 36 states in Nigeria, critics are of the opinion that Accord Party flag bearer may likely not measure up to the dominant parties of APC, PDP, and the growing strength of Labour Party and the NNPP. Joining us now to share his vision and ideas on why he is the best candidate for the top job in Nigeria is Professor Christopher Imumolen, presidential candidate of Accord Party. Good morning, Professor, and welcome to the morning show.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. But first, before we begin to talk about other issues, let's start with KYC. Because most people will say, well, in terms of name recognition, they don't know the presidential candidate of Accord Party. We've said it before on this program, that there are 18 presidential candidates, but we just know about 4 of them mostly in the public domain. So KYC, tell us about yourself. Google says you have 3 master's degrees, you have 2 PhD degrees, you are a professor, you are also the Ado of Abaji, you are from Ekpoma, East and West, local government area of Edo State. If you could just take us through your background and why you think you are the best man for the job. And professor, are you a professor of education or of engineering? Where? And, what you've been doing.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Professor Christopher Imumolen. I'm 39 years. I'll be 40 this year, September. So I'm an educationalist. I started my career in the educational sector where we founded the Joint Professionals Training and Support Institute. After then, we moved on to establishing universities. I am also the Vice Chancellor of Global Wealth University in Togo and Ghana. And, we started wanting to establish a university in Nigeria here, but the bureaucracy of getting a university license actually was one of those things that actually gave us the opportunity to start seeing other countries privately. I have my 2 masters, one from University of Lagos. I have masters in material meteorological engineering, University of Lagos. And I have another master from the South Amazon University. It's an online school in Costa Rica. I also have my PhD and my PhD from Togo, that is Global Wealth University, which was the International University for Management and Technology. And I've been in academia over the years. I've also ventured into oil and gas. I was the president onshore offshore oil and gas professionals, and because of our humanitarian work, I also badged the title of Ado of Abaji. We founded Unique Foundation, which basically was to support the less privileged in the community out there. We've been doing that for the last 10 years, how to support women, men, youth, provide grants for businesses. We've done the little we can in seeing how we can uplift the life of Nigerians privately. We also venture into seeing how we can also provide scholarship for Nigerians to study in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. Because as an educationist, as one who also find it very difficult to badge a first degree. My first degree was, I did my mechanical engineering at University of Benin, Ugbo campus, and that was where I had my first degree. And it was very difficult for me, having lost my father at the age of 12, and getting a first degree was difficult. Eventually, God helped us, and I said, how do we give back to society? So we launched the Scholarship Trust Fund, and ever since we've been trying to say, how do we support Nigerians in having access to quality, affordable, and accessible education? That has helped us to also spread our tentacle beyond Nigeria to the West African countries, seeing how we can also. I believe that education remains one of the keys to driving national development for Nigeria and Africa.
Yeah.
So we have invested in that hugely. Married, I'm from Ekboma, from Mission West, from AIL community in Ekboma. I was born and bred in Lagos, in Mushi, Idioro. I had my secondary school program in Nigerian model secondary school in Idioro, Lagos. So
no, you are not from Mushi, you are from Mushan.
Thank you for detailing. I'm sure Nigerians have gotten to know you a bit better, which is great. Now, I hear a lot of education in your background, and you have also even campaigned on the strength of education, talking about how you would, really allocate more funding to the education sector in Nigeria. But beyond education, what presents to the next president of Nigeria is economy. We have, the state of economy, we have the debt of potential 77 trillion naira, we have healthcare, we have, poverty levels. What are some of your ideas in tackling these issues if you were to emerge president?
For me, I have looked critically into the Nigerian challenges, and one out of many is the value system. The value system by itself has affected the kind of leaders that we also chunk out to actually govern Nigeria. We have many Nigerians whose value system has been prioritized into something else. And that goes back to the kind of educational system we have. Education is not just what you learn in classroom. It boils down to what you learn informally, formal education, and non-formal education. As an educationist, I know that our mind as Nigeria needs to be reformed. We need to begin to look at what Nigeria imbibes, what we believe, what we do, daily activities. How do we train our children? How do we make sure that Nigerians become Nigerians that can lead Nigeria and take Nigeria to the next destination? It's very key for us. About the Nigeria itself is the biggest challenge. Once you're able to have Nigerians whose mind is focused on solving Nigeria's problem, who prioritize the right value system. Look at homes from the family structure. You can see even parents now. You can see. I'm from that system.
So how do you tackle the economy with that? Just a bit more specific responses. So in terms of the economy, inflation rate, how do you grow the GDP? How do you manage that beyond the family unit?
Yeah, one, we have an issue. We have an issue of the economy, which of course, by the grace of God, if I become the president of Nigeria, would quickly be looking at it, because these are issues that must be looked at. One, we talked about the issue of the unemployment in Nigeria itself, which is a function of how bad our economy has done. How do we quickly ensure that our youths are, one, to me, it's a policy issue. When I spoke about we going out of Nigeria, set up university, it tells you how hard a Nigerian surviving doing business in Nigeria is a policy issue. We need to begin to open our economy. We need to begin to liberalize so many sectors that have been monopolized by few people. And that, again, is what we'll be doing. How do we open up the power sector? No economy can strive without power itself. How do we liberalize? I've said it in my manifesto. One of the very first thing we do is to see how to disbundle the National Electric Regulatory Commission and begin to give access and ensure that we have more investors who can run. We have people who can actually run our economy. Government should pay less attention in doing business rather than providing opportunities for business to strive. We'll begin to look at how do we create that enabling environment for us to have a Nigerian that is run by private sector. We need an economy that is private sector driven. And that can only happen when you open up your economy, you allow investors to come in, you allow Nigerians who are the first investor to begin to have confidence in investing in Nigeria. There's a lot of bad policies that we have that will not allow. I am an investor. I've invested hugely in Nigeria economy itself, so I know what it takes to run a business in Nigeria. Okay. So by so doing, changing our policy, having a friendly policies for Nigerians to run, I believe we have a better economy.
Okay, all of this can't be successful without security. If you were elected president today, what are the top 3 things you'll do to solve the lingering insecurity problem in the country with practical approach and steps? Secondly, I was stating yesterday that between 2015 to now, we've got over 600 naira added on the value of the parity between the naira and the dollar. What would you do, and what are the economic mechanisms you put in place for this burgeoning exchange rate debacle we have? Practical steps, please.
Yeah. Number one, the security challenge. We must begin to solve the issue of the national disintegration. For the first time, when I mean that is, many Nigerians do not feel as part of Nigerians because of the kind of leadership system we've had over time. I'm going to run an all-inclusive government. I will bring everybody on board. We'll discuss Nigeria, the Nigerian constitution again, in a way that every Nigerian will feel as Nigeria in Nigeria. It's very key, because when people don't feel as part of Nigerians, there will be a lot of sabotage. We have a lot of sabotage and saboteurs, making sure that Nigeria is not safe. Secondly, the issue of border. I've made my research. I've visited a lot of borders in Kestina and some other place. I've noticed that we have over 1,400 unmanned illegal routes into Nigeria. A country that is not properly manned has its national sovereignty in question. We must begin to ensure that all our borders are manned. It's very key. Then thirdly, we must begin to run Nigerian security with artificial intelligence. We have so much human intelligence. The world have gone tech digital. We must begin to ensure that our security persons are encouraged. One, about security itself, crime does not happen except two things happen. One is the desire to commit crime. Second is the opportunity to commit crime. When a man who desires to commit crime meets the opportunity to commit crime, such a person, there will be crime. So it's the government's responsibility to ensure that our opportunity is not there. But God is the only one that stops a man who desires from not desiring.
So is that your practical approach to solving insecurity problem?
Yes. One, national, bringing back Nigerians together on one table. Two, looking at our border porosity. Three, using technology, hugely invest in technology. And there are other things also. We need to ensure that our security men are also motivated, trained, retrained, and given all that it takes to fight insecurity.
So what for the exchange rate that I talked about, what are your practical steps to coming out of that?
Yes, one is we cannot, the way Nigeria is, our dependency on foreign goods, our dependency as a consuming economy as this, everything we need, about 70% of what we need, even as a manufacturer, you have to bring them in. So we stress our foreign exchange reserve, we stress we need so much. What I feel, what we must do is what the present government was trying to do, but they didn't do it right, is to begin to ensure that Nigerians are encouraged to do business in Nigeria. I talked about policy issue. How do we fix our power problem immediately? We still run a government till today that we have not been able to generate more than 6,000 megawatts of power. I know of a company, just one company in India owned by Mukesh Ambani, produces 36,000 megawatts of power, just a single company in India.
How?
So we must solve we must begin to provide things that are needed for business to strive in Nigeria. Until we do that, believe me, the need, and we have a very big population, our stress on dollar, and again we talked about Nigerians in diaspora, collection of remittance is also key. It must be harmonized, it must be done in a way that is transparent and is open, so that that's again.
I get your point. You too, you want to move Nigeria from consumption to production.
Of course.
Will you be right to say that?
Yes.
Okay, but quickly. There's an issue that came up this morning on this program. That's the Naira redesign policy. And this furore, over new notes. Now, we were saying that it's only the APC that is complaining. Presidential candidate of the APC, the interim spokesman for the campaign, Nasir El-Rufai, even as we speak, some governors of the APC are arriving at the presidential villa to have a conversation with the president over these new notes. What's your own take? I mean, it would be nice to hear from another presidential candidate out of the 18.
Yeah, I think it's a good policy that is implemented in a wrong way. That is mine. One, it's good because we're looking at the election. Everybody that understands what is happening understand the purpose of it. However, it has a very wrong policy, wrong impact on the economy, as well at this time. Look at what is happening in the city, let alone in the rural community, where the level of digital transaction has gotten nowhere. I receive calls from the village, from everywhere, telling us daily of the stress. So this is it. I believe that the policy by itself is an APC policy to checkmate APC by themselves. That is why we see all this opera around them. And for candidates like us, it's good, because we now have more confidence that vote buying and the rest of these things that they normally do would reduce to a large extent. So we believe that God is working out good for us. I mean, candidates like us in a court party who, before the election, we were thinking, oh, how do we ensure that we get our vote and our vote counted? It's a good policy for election, but bad for the economy.
Well, on that note, we'd like to thank you very much, Professor Imumolen, presidential candidate of the Accord Party.